everyone. Welcome back to Football 301. Nate Tice here. We have a great show for you today because it's week 16. What used to be the penultimate week of the NFL season is now the third to last week, but still a very important week in the NFL. Plenty of great games to go over. We're going to get lost in the sauce with a few. We have some cheat sheet games at the end because, like I said, good slate of games, plus some Hail Marys to cap off the show. Maybe we'll get one as the season wraps up. But to help me do that, like every single Thursday, my guy, Mr. Forverts, Charles McDonald, finger guns, Charles McDonald, six-shooter, Mr. Forverts. How you doing today, Chuck? Good to see you.
Doing all right. Getting over, winter illness like I imagine a lot of us have right now, but can't stay healthy this time of year. It's tough. So I'm trying to get healthy before I go home to see my grandma tomorrow. But outside of that, pretty good. Looking forward to lots of football this weekend. We got Saturday NFL games back, college football playoffs back, big game tonight, Thursday night between the Rams and the Seahawks. But there's a lot going on, so I'm really looking forward to this weekend. Actually, even though even some of the slop games have some stakes attached to them. And I'm sure we'll get to that later.
It's a good week of games. I like the slate of games. It was pretty easy to kind of parse through them even before Stone hit us up about what we want to go over. I was like, I'm already leaning towards some of these. I wanted to say that if you want a preview of which illness you're going to catch, just check out your co-host here, with two kids, because my son is going to get whatever is going around right away, and I'm going to get it about 5 days later. So then you'll get it about 2 weeks after me. Like it seems. I also noticed too. I noticed if I have a cold or something, I'm like, man, am I the only one catching it? And then I'll just see injury reports around the league. Illness. Yep. Usually Lamar Jackson, but yes, illness. That's how you know it's kind of going around. Yeah, we'll talk about that game and plenty of others. Let's get lost in the sauce right away. This is where we take a deep dive into our 3 favorite games of the week. Kind of like picking between children this week because there's a few more than 3 that we could talk about. But we're going to start. This one's a barn burner. A potential barn burner. This one's exciting in the AFC. We got the Jaguars at the Broncos. The Broncos are 3-point favorites at Mile High. Seem to be getting a lot of these games at home. But this is a really, don't they? I mean, I know they went to Philly, but it just seems like all the big ones they keep getting at home. I don't know. Maybe that's just whether that's fair or not. I know they played in Indy as well, but these are 2 of the hottest teams in the league right now. Broncos defense, one of the best units in the league. Bo Nix had a great game, and the Broncos offense really, didn't feel like they made a lot of mistakes. That's really on review, watching that game back. Again, I watched that game back and go, man, the Packers are much better than I thought. But I also watch it, and the Broncos just played, I wouldn't say a flawless game. There's nothing like that, but just a well-designed game and a well-executed game. Bo Nix kept creating plays. It was a huge win, a lot of fun to rewatch. And I also thought Jordan Love was just absolutely insane. But then the Jaguars, whose offense it's got some Jacoby Myers going on. It's finding its way. Trevor Lawrence playing the best, most consistent ball of his career. And the defense is just, the defense isn't perfect, but they've maximized their abilities. I'm really excited to talk about this game. We're going to start when the Jaguars offense has the ball against that Broncos elite defense. What's catching your attention on this side of the ball, Chuck?
When I first looked at this, I was just like, oh man, in my brain, I was like, it just kind of seems like the Broncos defense at the peak of its power still might be a little bit too much for this offense. But the Broncos defense hasn't been a stalwart unit over the past month. Because I was all things are through Jacoby Myers right now because this originally started with looking like
it's not even a joke. It's dead serious. It's literally what's going on with the Jaguars.
Greatest receiver in Jaguars history, as our friend Richard Johnson says.
Yes.
But basically, since week 10, the Broncos defense, they performed about basically a league average level, maybe slightly above average. They're 14th EPA per play, 8th in success rate. All the drive stats are about middle of the pack. But they have had a weird kind of run through that because in that stretch they played the Raiders, which
twice
the Raiders they held them to 7 points. Then they had the Chiefs, which they held to 19 points, but the Chiefs, they did do a decent job of moving the ball in that game. They just kind of couldn't convert at the end. Then the game that I had totally like already mind wiped for myself, the Commanders game that they played on Sunday night a few weeks ago that went to overtime, where they gave up 26 points and the defense gave up 420 yards. Then before the Packers game, they gave up 17 points to the Raiders, which is actually alarming. 17 points to the Raiders is just a little bit too much. That's a little alarming.
The Raiders inflation here. Yeah, that's like double. It's like double of like a normal team.
17 points. Like, you gave up 50 basically. Like, wow. I mean, I know it says they won 24-17, but that should count as a loss. And then last week against the Packers, you were just alluding to it. Man, that offense, I don't know if the defense can survive like the attrition that they've hit, especially in the front seven. But that offense is they were really good last week. Jordan Love, really good. He should be more in MVP talks, but I guess volume's going to get it down. But I said to say this, like they might be gettable right now. And you know, I was like thumbing back through the games. I couldn't really find a reason for why things were going as poorly as they were. Honestly, the Raiders game kind of felt like they were sleepwalking a little bit. But the Chiefs game, you know, they had that back and forth with Mahomes, still move the ball, but ultimately that's what you kind of expect him to do. The Commanders game was a little alarming, though, I think. And you see how they were able to move the ball. And it wasn't even with Jayden Daniels in the game. They had Marcus Mariota still in the game. He had some stretches in that game where he was moving the ball well. So, like, it's gettable for Trevor Lawrence and Jacoby Myers. Again, when I was watching the games, like, I still don't know who you're trying to attack here if you're the Jaguars. But just the fact that the defensive performance is down, and the fact that, Bo Nix is really a wild card, even though he had a pretty solid game last week, it's gettable. Because when I start to look at this matchup, I was thinking, like, man, is this just one of those games where Broncos defense kind of, just stomps them out? But they haven't really been that unit over the past month.
I agree where it's like they're gettable, and at the same time, they're really hard to go against.
Right, yeah.
And like the Jags O-line, which I've kind of said throughout the year, is that like they play to the max of their abilities. They're not extremely talented, but they play like very sound. And I think Trevor, everything's cohesive. I know that's kind of crazy to talk about with the Jags offense with all the illegal shift penalties they have and all that, and how many snaps they have with 5 seconds under the play clock. They really are, but everything ties together really well as far as structure. And so I'm saying it with the Broncos, that's how I think the tides of this game will turn, is if their front just dominates. If Nick Benito goes off, if they just can't block Zach Allen, there's all this shifting and moving, and it becomes very boomer busty up front. Trevor has to get rid of the ball quick. All the Broncos DBs are just clamping down. So that's where I could see it spiraling away from the Jags if that happens. So far, in games where they've played teams with good fronts, even the Texans a few weeks ago, they've had great plans. And again, a lot of movement throws, a lot of stuff that I think what Liam Cohn does a great job of. Sometimes this can be a bad thing, where a smorgasbord offense where they run a little bit of everything, because then you just kind of see a lack of detail. With Cohen, though, I understand why he gets to everything, and they can push a lot of different buttons. That's what makes it such an interesting offense. They can spread you out. They can go condensed. They can go tight for wing formations. They can use motion. They can go on the quick. They could use. They do screens. Sometimes they don't do screens. Sometimes they do play action. Sometimes, like every week, the game plan's a little different flavor. So he's a great play caller. He really is. He can be a little emotional. Which, hey, I know people think I could be a fun and calm guy, but I get it. I'm a very competitive guy myself, so I get it. But he can be a little emotional, but it's a well-designed offense. It really is. It's really just been one of the highlights of this year to watch. And I get it. It's not perfect, but they maximize what they got. And going against this Broncos team, again, and we've talked about the Broncos a lot. They're number one seed in the AFC. They're one of the best teams right now. And so Broncos fans, because you guys like to talk, especially to us, that it's just that why we say like, oh, this is gettable, this is good. We're not saying bad. It's just that like there's certain aspects you have to attack on this defense because it's so good. And for me, when I was looking at it, obviously there's Patrick Surtain. Obviously there's Riley Moss, who we keep emphasizing is good, even if he gets some penalties and stuff. It's just that defenses or offenses you have to pick your poison. So to me, the poison that I would pick if I'm playing the Broncos defense is you target the slot. And whether they want to blitz, whether you're just picking between the three corners that they have out there and who has the best matchup of man coverage, that's just kind of the one spot that you can go against. And the Broncos run a lot of man coverage, a lot of cover one, and they have a high cover zero rate. They're fifth in cover one rate. I looked at the Jaguars splits, and it's exactly what you would think. Man coverage, who does Trevor Lawrence trust the most? Jakobi Meyers. He has a 31% target share since he's joined the Jaguars against man coverage. 10 receptions on 17 targets, 8 first downs. BTJ has 21% target share, 4 receptions, 4 first downs, a higher yards per route because Trevor's taking him on go balls and verticals and everything. But those are where they go. And so I was looking, I was like, all right, so you move Jakobi Meyers. What's nice about him is he fits into a lot of roles. You can play him outside. You can play him inside. You can use him as a blocker. You can use him against zone. Pretty good against man as well. Just a smart, good, solid football player. So I think we see some Myers from the slot. He has about 30% snaps in the slot so far with the Jaguars. The Broncos against slot targets are good in terms of success rate. They're 8th, but then you can gash them. They truly make you be explosive. Saw Jayden Reed a little bit last week getting targeted in this way, but they're 24th in EPA per pass against the slot, 19th in explosive pass rate, 31st in yards, air yards per attempt. So again, it's vertical, and then 31st in interceptions attempt. So for a defense that takes it to offenses and makes a lot of offenses make mistakes, this is one way to kind of make it streamlined for offenses. And even just, I was bringing this down on the fantasy forecast with Matt yesterday. The DVOA ranks for on FTN, they can go by receiver, and it kind of matches what I see with the Broncos. They're 5th in DVOA against receiver 1. Well, they have this guy named Patrick Surtain, so that makes a lot of sense. So that to me is BTJ. But then 16th against tight ends, which makes sense. You're picking your poison. Okay, so they're solid. They're first against running backs, also makes sense. Running backs don't get out a lot against this team. And when they do, they just clamp and tackle. 24th against receiver 3s, which by their definition is the slot. That's just the one way. Again, this is just, you're picking your poison with it. And the Jaguars finally have a guy like BTJ. I wouldn't want to do this, but they can move Myers inside and have BTJ on the outside, and they have ways to attack this a little bit. Jaguars run game has tapered off a little bit. It's not the most physical run game. Again, it's well designed and well executed. This defense, you want to go at them. You want to bully ball them and muck it up when they want to slant, shift, and do all this stuff. So I think the run game will be a little boom busty, but I think passing game wise, this is how the Jaguars have to attack. I kind of give the Broncos a slight advantage here, but I do think the Jaguars have some natural answers in their offense. Jakobi Meyers. It's a joke that's become a very much honest truth is how important he is to this offense because he opens up so much for everybody else. Yeah,
I look at some of that stuff too. And just in the Jakobi Meyers window since week 10, the Broncos, they're 28th in EPA per target to the slot. And even if you just pull out slot targets, like just all targets to wide receivers since week 10, they're, bottom 10 in the league against that. And again, like even just like sifting through True Media's, the filters they had, you can kind of isolate. It's like not Patrick Surtain. It's like that. Those guys are the problems.
That's why Riley Moss is in so many. Why he's shown up so much is because they don't want to target number 2. So they go, all right, pick your poison. Yeah, it makes sense. So
just stay away from them, and if you can survive the blitzes, they got a chance to put up some points. They really do have a chance to put up some points. Fascinating to see how this side goes because trying to get a beat on the other side is just chaos because I don't know what the hell which Bo Nix is going to come out. Is it going to be the one that the Broncos fans booed a month ago, or is it going to be the one that Broncos fans say he's like the next Steve Young? I don't know.
Steve Young,
but this side seems a little bit more stable. Pepper Jacoby, don't let Trevor die.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a too long to read of it. I know that sounds simplistic, but that's literally what it is. Maybe hit one go ball to BTJ when Riley Moss is on him. But it feels like in a Brent Strange game as well. That's the other guy I wanted to mention too. He's the third figure in this kind of trio of pass catchers for the Jags that I like. I want this trio to keep going. I like the Strange Myers BTJ trio. That's a good trio of pass catchers. The other coverage that the Broncos will run on early downs, they'll run a lot of cover 6 and some cover 2, a lot of cloud. And Trevor Lawrence, this makes a lot of sense. Again, just scheme wise too. He targets Brenton Strange a lot against those two. Jacoby Myers, 29% target share. Again, most important guy. Brenton Strange, 25% target share this year against those coverages. So again, that maybe is where the ball goes. So maybe some tight ends. I said 16th in DVOA. Yeah, stuff over the middle. The little receiver stat you had there. I noticed Jordan Love was just peppering a lot of outbreakers. I mean, he's the best. This is such a niche thing. The best outbreaker thrower in the NFL. I will say right now he is. So I was looking, I was like, what is Trevor good at those? And he's been pretty good. 51% success rate since they added Myers. He was 43% success rate before they added Myers. So of course that helps it out. And Broncos are pretty good against them, but you can pepper it a little bit because of how their corners play leverage. And then the other little note I had on this side of the ball is Jaguars condensed formations. They are top 10 in that. And I'm going to bring up the stat in another matchup. The Broncos, if you come out and condensed in a tight splits and everything, they're going to blitz. They're like 50% blitz rate against condensed. It's them and the Vikings. So Brian Flores and Vance Joseph just go, screw you. Here comes the corner. Here comes the safety, like something like they just do. They're not going to let you get away with those without making it boom bust. So let's get to the other side of the ball, which I agree is a little bit more truly anything could happen. Anything could happen. I could see the Broncos having an incredible game plan with Sean Payton, Bo Nix doing what we did last week, creating some stuff, which I'll talk about. I could see the Jaguars having a great game plan, because that's what this defensive coordinator does. These guys are playing really well on this side of the ball. This has been almost more stable than the offense for the Jags, but gettable as well. They still have Andrew Wynn. Yeah, right. Yeah, with the setting the record for the legal shift penalties like the offense has. But that's the thing is with this Jaguars. What?
No, the Jaguars have set the record for like the most guppy quarterbacks you could possibly play in the past month. Like, guppy offenses. I was looking at their, it's all green. I looked at who they play. I was like, this is nothing.
Who is it? Who have they got against? Just list it off. Who have they got against recently?
We got Trey Lance, Brady Cook, Riley Leonard, the Titans offense, and then Jacoby Brissett in Arizona put 24. Offense. Yeah, I mean, Cam Moore, they scored 3. Trey Lance in a broken Justin Herbert scored 6.
Davis Mills?
The Riley Leonard game. I think that was before when Davis Mills had the. Was that the no? Davis Mills.
Davis Mills, yeah.
No, Davis Mills was the start of the. Right, so that was the last game they lost. And then since then, it's been Trey Lance, Jacoby Brissett in the Cardinals offense, Cam Ward and Titans offense held the 3. Then you got the Daniel Jones hurt, Riley Leonard game, and then Brady Cook for the Jets last week. That's I would hope that an NFL defense is killing them. These guys weren't even. Some of these guys weren't even like. They're not even like prospects to be starters for long term. Brady Cook, man. No, I've seen him play too many games to this point. Through the Luther Burden scouting stretch too last year.
I love that. Brady Cook actually didn't look as embarrassing as I thought. Okay, they're 7th in DVOA. What has their schedule been? They've gone against the 15th hardest schedule, so about middle of the pack schedule overall. No, that's important. Yeah. That's important to know, because I have been feeling better about the defense. But yeah, some of these offenses, maybe that's why. That's a little bit of part of it too, because they even had a bad performance against the Raiders. I remember that game here in Vegas, right out of their bye week too. Their defense is really well game planned. They do some cool stuff, but again, it's not perfect. Trayvon Walker was gone, but now he's back and he's been playing well. But it's just I just keep bringing up Andrew Wingard, because it's they're starting Andrew Wingard still. That is just the kind of state what this defense is full of. I love the game plan stuff. I like their blitz stuff. I was looking kind of some niche stuff on this side of the ball, not that I don't do that. Jordan Lewis, awesome in the slot for this team, but there's some carryover from last week's note against the Packers. The Jaguars run a ton of zone. They're 5th in zone rate this year. They'll drop 8 a ton. They run a lot of cloud coverage, which is cover 2 and cover 6. They run the highest rate of cover 6 in the entire NFL. They're 4th in 2 high rate. They're 1st in EPA allowed to receivers in the entire NFL. They're 2nd in EPA allowed to slot players. They don't get a lot of sacks and knockdowns. Then they're going against Bo Nix and this Broncos O-line. So I would wager that there aren't going to be a lot of knockdowns for Bo Nix again. But where I was kind of looking, because last week's game really sparked this because of how Bo Nix was getting the Packers. A lot of zone coverages. What happens against zones sometimes? Extended snaps, zones kind of fall apart. You find soft spots against those zones. Sure enough, extended plays, times to throw 4 more seconds. The Jaguars defense, 32nd in air yards per attempt, 15.4, 16th in success rate, 25th in explosive pass rate allowed, 20%. So it's a lot of the big chunk plays that they'll allow against extended stuff. And outside the pocket throws, Bo Nix has the highest rate of outside the pocket throws this year. Jaguars defense, 17th success rate, 27th in explosive pass rate allowed. So again, last week it was a little bit more of those kind of underneath dink throws from Bo Nix. Might get maybe some launch balls or stuff down the field. That's kind of what the Jaguars are susceptible to, is kind of those creation plays down the field.
The chaos plays, things just kind of break loose. Don't really know what's going on, and next thing you know, Bo's
going every which way.
Yeah, it's honestly sometimes like when I watch the Broncos play, especially this year or recent weeks, it feels crazy that their sack rate is so low and that the pressure rate's so low. Because sometimes I'm like, bro, just get rid of the ball. Like it feels like he's running for his life, but he's really not. It's just the plays where he is. It's just all hell breaks loose. But like I said on the recap show, I think like one thing I definitely underestimated about him coming in. It's just the physical gifts he has, and that does really help him with where his process is right now. Because like he can get away from guys and still make throws down the field. Unfortunately, like he knows he can do that sometimes, and it becomes a problem for them. But I guess I kind of struggle seeing like sometimes where you look at like the Jaguars pass rush stats this year, they're one of like the worst teams in pressure to sack ratio, which is not what you want to see. You're going against a team that is the best in pressure to sack ratio, the Denver Broncos. Bo Nix, like he is good at kind of getting away from those plays and extending for a throw downfield. Whether that throw is always a good idea or not is kind of going to be where the Jacksonville Jaguars can survive this game. But I was coming looking at the same as you. Like I just kind of get worried about some of the second chance plays that the Broncos have. I think Josh Hines-Allen is still hurt right now too. And if he's like dinged up for this game, he was back at practice today after missing something with an injury. After missing practice earlier with an injury this week, but if he's like dinged up or slowed down, oh man, this offensive line is really good. And Bo Nix is an escape artist, and that's where maybe things could get scary because like within the structure of the game, I think they'll battle well. I would probably still err on like Sean Payton kind of figuring things out as the game goes along. But it's not like the Jaguars are really big slouches in that area. It's more just like when it comes down to like you're gonna have chances to get Bo Nix, whether it's the interception or a sack. Are you actually gonna convert on those plays? Because that's kind of where you've seen the tide swings for the Broncos offense this year. They have like the most like predictable splits that you would guess looking at it, watching them play. 22nd in success rate, 10th EPA per play. Like they're bottom 6 in terms of like drives that don't get a first down, but they're in the top half of leading points per drive. It's all or nothing. It's all or nothing.
Yeah. And once they get to the red zone, they're going to score. Like they got some great stuff. Like you can see Sean Payton cooking down there, and that's what I said on the Sunday show. You talk about the gifts. Even when I wrote up Bo Nix, was that I said he's got a huge arm. He just doesn't always use it. And I think now you really see it in the red zone. And I brought this up on Sunday, is that because he can fire that football in. So that's why I think they do punch so many home. I think the Jaguars kind of actually match up well run game wise against this Broncos offense in the weirdest way, because they're bigger. How the linebackers are, just I don't know. They match up a little bit better than I would say the Packers did. Even the Packers run defense did okay. So that's kind of just one thing I was looking at for this. So I think it's going to come down to those. I keep bringing up Wingard. That's what I would tack on this Jaguars defense. This is what the Seahawks did when they played. Attack the safeties, make the safeties declare, make the safeties play two-way. And I mean that, like I mentioned how much cover 6 they run. So one side's going to be quarters. That means safety has to be part of the run fit, or he has to be deep, or he's got to help out, vicing a guy. I say vicing, some defensive guys are going to get on me about that, but bracketing a guy or something of that sort, like that. Make those safeties work. And that's what Sean Payton does so well with those shot plays and those designer plays. So it's kind of like how it is always with, I think this is going to be the most Broncos offense type game. It comes down to the shot plays, and it comes down to how well the defense tackles on all the screens and all the swing plays and all the checkdowns and everything. I was trying to look before I wrap this up. Oh yeah, Jaguars defense after the opening 15. Because ever since you said that, I've been kind of like, I'm curious. All right, but I looked at the split. So after play 15, They're second in rushing success rate. They're 15th in passing success rate, 8th overall. And they are EPA-wise, they're third in EP per play. So this Jaguars defense really adjusts really well throughout the season. So that is something just to take him note, because I loved when you brought about Sean Payton, because he's such a good play caller. And when he's cooking like he was last week, that's when you really feel the adjustments happening throughout the game. I love that. As you know.
I know. It was just like late second quarter. I remember maybe mid-second quarter in that game last week. They hit the Broncos, like they hit a groove. I was like, oh man, it's like I've seen this so many times. Like Sean's
here comes Michael Myers.
Yeah, I was like, here comes Michael Myers. Like I don't know what Bo's about to do, but Sean's dialed in. You know,
Sean, yes.
And then man, it's like
the one. Yeah.
It just felt like in the second half, man, they had so many options on just finding the open guys, and even like the touchdown that Bo threw up the seam. Like, dude, that was wide open for how far that was down the field. Like, right. Man, and it just seems so easy as they were trying to figure it out. You know, we're worried about the Packers for sure, while staying on that subject, because now you're starting to lose some talent off the defense that had been struggling, like in the second half of games recently. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah. And especially in neutral game scripts, and you can feel a little leaky on the defense. Yeah, I know. We'll talk about that one. Don't you guys worry. But final predictions for this AFC brouhaha. Like I said before, Broncos are 3-point favorites at home.
I think I'm going to go Broncos win, Jags cover.
Ooh, I love that. I'm also doing the exact same. Broncos win, Jags cover. I think this is going to be very close. I think it comes down to a couple of those plays. And I have a Hail Mary prediction tied into this game. I didn't want to spoil that one as well. But this one's fun. There's one elite unit or very good unit, but still kind of gettable. And I'm kind of curious about how Liam Cohen, who I think is now I think has earned the right as one of the better play callers and play designers, him and the Jags staff. I'm curious how they go about it. And I think the Sean Payton, God, I got to learn the Jaguars defense coordinator's name for sure. Anthony Campanelli.
Campanelli.
Yeah. I always call him the Italian.
Based on what I've seen from him, he would like being called that from what I've seen from him.
Yes, I think our friend John Shipley said that he wants to find a good red sauce when he first got that job in Jacksonville. I was like, well, good luck with that.
Yeah, basically all my friends from college are Anthony Campanelli, so I know the type well.
my freshman year at UCF, we had a suite, so it was 4 of us in each room, and my 3 roommates were all from South Florida, but they were all last names were Greco. And it was, and this was right when the Jersey Shore was getting popular. And I was like, what? And I'm from Minnesota, man. So I went down. I was like, I didn't know I moved to Jersey. It's like, what is this? There's a guy from Coral Gables and stuff. They all had spiked hair and everything. So I think we have some similar stuff. My parents are from New York, so they got a little bit of that in them too.
It's inescapable, man. They're everywhere.
They are. I know. I love your stories about your college roommates. It's great. Or college friends. All right. We're going to take our first break. We'll come back with a couple more games we're going to get lost in sauce with. We are back going to the NFC North, the former NFC Central, the classic battle between the Packers and the Bears. Packers, of course, just lost Micah Parsons without an ACL. And I believe his defense coordinator said he's going to set the sack record next year, or 20 sacks next year. So they're already feeling good about him coming back. Going against the Bears, offense is rolling. Really fun to watch Caleb Williams, that offense against the Browns defense. The Browns defense is still good. The offense might not be, but the defense is still good. But I'm just curious to see how the Packers, even before they added Micah Parsons, I was still very, very high on this team, but I want to see how this new iteration of them executes and finishes the season, because I'm still pretty high on them because of their offense. We'll start with when the Packers have the ball and Jordan Love going against this Bears defense that only allowed 3 first downs to the Browns, but I don't know if you can even count that. But have been playing better overall, I will say. But yes, going against this Packers offense that is not the Browns offense. But what do you think about this side of the ball, Chuck?
Yeah, that because I feel like I'm like one of the few people watching Browns games just so I have eyes on the Myles Garrett when he gets the sack record.
historical sack record that's very important in NFL history that people really used to like do big things about. Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah. Look, it could do, a whole essay on that right now. But man, like there was really just nothing to glean from the Bears defense last week, because they had a good performance, and that's what they're supposed to do against an offense like that. When you're getting that level of quarterback play. I think the Browns down like 4 offensive linemen. It was just
it was bad.
Not really much to glean from that. But one thing that did continue is they keep getting their hands on the ball. Just got a lot of turnovers this year. Even their, if you just look at some of their recent EPA numbers, they look a little bit more steady than maybe they have over the course of the year. A lot of that is still weighted by playing the Browns offense and, a fifth-round rookie quarterback and a bad offensive line. Rookies all over the place.
4 rookies at skill positions.
4 rookies at skill positions. Just a total mess over there. Yeah, but other than that, I don't know. I don't really have any faith that this defensively looks any different from the game that they just played a couple weeks ago.
A few weeks ago.
A few weeks ago. I would expect the Packers to try and come out and do the same thing. It just depends on if they can sustain what they start. Because last time they started off taking big hacks, it felt like they're going to score 50 points, and then things kind of slowed down in the second half. Do I believe the Bears could do that twice? I don't think so, to be honest with you. Just because I think when you look at just where the track record has been on this defense in key spots, I know they've kind of tightened up recently. But even if you pull out the Packers game, they played the Eagles, who have been really discombobulated, the Steelers before that, who have been up and down, and then the Vikings and the Giants before that. So, these are kind of teams that you should be able to affect and get turnovers on. But the fact that they're still doing it, maybe when Jordan Love has that one throw where you're just like, what the hell are you doing? Do you think you get to rewind, how Madden used to have the old mulligan feature where you could just run back the play if you do something really stupid? You think that's happening here, Jordan? You're just kind of too good to just go zombie brain every once in a while. But this is a defense you probably don't want to do that against. But still, everything else, I still looking at the Packers kind of just burning them down. Unless something crazy happens. I just don't think the Bears personnel it's not where I thought it was going to be this season. I still think Dennis Allen's done some good things for them, but overall, they need to get a lot more talent up front. Some of the free agent signings and young guys haven't quite panned out the way they would hope, and it's just not what you want to see head into this game against Jordan Love. And it's kind of frustrating though, because we're at the point where people are going to start losing perspective on the Bears season, where because they're going to meet a comically bad end in the playoffs. They're just not in the same tier as some of the top teams.
They're ahead of schedule.
They're ahead of schedule. But that doesn't matter when you make the playoffs. They're going to say, "Oh, why'd you lose?"
They made
42
the playoffs.
to 19.
They won 11 games. Yeah, exactly.
The Rams scored 50 on you. I was like, well, yeah, okay, they did, but it's still the fact that they're here and they have a chance to take command of the division with a win here is pretty crazy. But I just don't think they have the horses to actually more down what Jordan Love's doing, because he's just playing on a different planet right now.
And despite what Kevin Warren leaking more stadium news, things are going really well with the Chicago Bears organization, the future Gary Bears, apparently. Because I agree with you. It's I think, which is just so funny how we even talked about going into the season. We thought that the Bears defense might be a sneaky kind of top 10 defense, and then the offense will get better as the season goes along. I thought maybe they end up about middle of the pack, and I had them as a 7 seed getting into the playoffs, sneak in, maybe lose a game. I think the offense has been top 10 pretty legitimately, explosive wise, run game wise. And I think Caleb against the Browns was excellent. I thought he was absolutely excellent. On top of just the flash throws, just all the stuff down to down, under center, play action. The way it was negative 20 wind chill with actual wind, and you would have no idea how he was throwing the ball because he was just so tight and executing so well. Really optimistic about what I'm seeing there. But I'm with you. That's just that they have a lot of I don't say a lot, but they have holes that are very gettable, mostly along, to me, the spine of the defense. Like, I think you can run on them, which I think the Packers can do because of how the Packers like to run the ball. Very at you, very downhill. And that's the thing. Zach Tom is out for the Packers offense, or he's hurt, the right tackle. But it's not like I go, oh, yeah, but the Bears have this guy that can just wreck you. Like, Sweat is Sweat. Montez Sweat's a good, solid player. And I really like Austin Booker, but I like Austin Booker more in 2026 than 2025. I think he's has some good flashes, but it's not like where I'm like, oh my God, he's going to terrorize Zach Tom or the backup the entire game, yada, yada. So that's the thing. It's nothing against the Bears. I agree with you. I think that it shows up on third down. It shows up with how opportunistic they are, and that's good coaching. But I think they know what they are as well. Having said that, a lot of injuries for the Packers offense. A lot of guys are banged up. So that is also interesting to me. Like, all right, does Christian Watson play? I already mentioned Zach Tom. Josh Jacobs is banged up. He's basically banged up every week. Another one of their tight ends is gone, Josh Wiley, which is interesting because the last time these two teams played 2 weeks ago, the Bears ran 0 snaps of base defense. It was all nickel and dime. So again, Packers have or had the personnel to maybe take advantage of that, but now it's kind of weaned away. Now they're more receiver centric. I think, again, carry over from last week's point with Broncos-Packers matchup, I think this is another Jayden Reed game. Whether Christian Watson plays or not, Romeo Doubs is the steady Eddie of this offense. I really like Romeo Doubs a lot. And Christian Watson, big play guy who's playing really well, playing the best football of his career, just keeps getting hurt. But then Jayden Reed, though, is just a slot weapon for this team. And you could feel it last week. You can feel the design runs, but also just the stuff they were targeting him on. And then without Kyler Gordon, who's on IR again for the Bears this year are 26th in explosive pass rate allowed to slot targets, 30th in yards per attempt, 9.3, and 19th in success rate. So they allow a lot of big plays. They blitz a lot, or not a lot. They run some funky stuff, I should say. So that's why you can get those slot targets. So it might be another Jayden Reed game for this Packers team as well. Again, it's just like, not completely knocking this Bears team, but that's the thing is the Packers just have, again, more natural answers. And okay, Dennis Allen wants to heat them up and get into dime or run a funky blitz. You're going against Jordan Love, who's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and the Packers' pass protection scheme. I wouldn't say O-line, just their protection scheme. They're so good against the blitz, and they make it gash or be gashed. So I think it's just one of those where the Packers have a lot of answers on this side of the ball, even if they're not all perfect too. But
I just found something really funny. I haven't decided how much it matters, but I found something kind of funny because I just plugged in your the 15 plays, the script, and just flipping it for in and out. The Bears defense. Okay, so in the first 15 plays of the game, do I have a week range on this? Because this looks ridiculous. Okay, no, I guess in the first 15 plays of the game this year, they have 12 sacks. They actually lead the league in quarterback sack rate within the first 15 plays of any game that they play on defense. 11.4% sack rate. Outside of that,
with the Broncos,
every other play outside just the first 15 of the game. So you're looking at like 93 pass attempts versus 338. They have 17 out the rest. So almost all of their sacks are coming within the first 15 plays of the game. It's like they've got
a split,
what?
Man. That's like there's something there. There's
something there, right?
Yeah.
They've got 12 sacks on 110 dropbacks in the first 15 plays of the game, and outside of that, they have 17 on 368. What the hell's going on there?
Wow. So maybe just some they're doing gets gamed up. Like, maybe just teams adjust.
Their defensive stats fall off a cliff, as the game goes along.
Yeah. Figure. So for reference, the Browns lead the league right now. They're on top of the Broncos now. They lead the league in sack rate at 10.8%. So what Chuck is saying, the first quarter of the game, they are basically the Browns or the Broncos pass rush. And then the rest of the game, they're probably
4.8% sack rate. One of the worst.
4.8?
One of the worst.
So that would rank
third.
That would rank 30th. So best pass rush in the league first quarter. Bottom 3 pass rush in the game, the last 3. Well, that's interesting. That's really interesting. I get it. The horses aren't. I don't know. Sweat's a weird player to me. Like he's not an ace. He should be just like a high end number 2. I think I still like that trade, by the way. But and just the the interior of the defensive line, the linebacker injuries. Yeah, it's just messy. They've just had so many injuries on that side, even if I like some of the stuff, but maybe some Dennis Allen game planning stuff because it's kind of a playoff game. Let's get to the other side of the ball, though. Bears offense, Packers defense. Evan Williams, I believe, has an injury. The safety I really like for the Packers. They got so many injuries. I could just keep listing name after name. Going against, though, this Bears offense that, I mean, it keeps on churning, man. Like it's a cool, even if you take away some of the run game stuff, the passing game's cooking, Colson Loveland's cooking. Luther Burden rocks, such a cool player. Roman Dudzé is banged up still, I believe, with a heel injury. Obviously, Micah Parsons is out, but checking out this side of the ball, Chuck, what you focusing on?
The Bears, unsurprisingly, like they lead the league in rushing attempts overall this year. I have no reason to suggest that they would deviate from that plan.
I don't think so either.
Are currently constructed. And it's interesting because like some of the Packers run, like even since Devontae White got hurt in that the Thanksgiving game a couple weeks ago, like their run game numbers are still kind of okay. But then like we watched them though we watched them play against this Bears team in the second half. And I feel like anytime you're in a position where a team is trailing you and they're hunting down the lead by running the ball, like you have a serious problem. Because that's kind of what was happening in the second half of that game, where it's not even like it's a diss on like the quarterback, because that's how sometimes people take it. It's just like, no, like that's just the easiest way to run the ball. Or that's the easiest way to move the ball if you guys can't stop it. And they just have such a wide repertoire and array of run plays that they've gotten really good at over the second half of the season. Like their run splits, basically since week 8, it's by far, especially considering the volume, it's the best running game in the league. And the fact that they've gotten this much better over the season, like I would expect them to be able to run the ball here on Green Bay, just because I've seen it before, and their personnel is worse than the last time that these two teams played. And then I guess from there, it just depends on, can you avoid, I guess, what happened last game where you just kind of couldn't keep up and you kind of ran out of time at the end, even though you had a chance to close out the game? Because, like we said, the Packers are probably going to score a lot of points again. And I guess I'm just interested to see if they can keep pace this time with that running game again, and maybe get a little bit more consistency out of the passing game. Because, it's crazy sometimes looking at Caleb's stats and you see where the completion percentage is where it is. Like sometimes when you cut off like non-screen and stuff, it's in the low 50s, and then you watch and like, dude, they're so close. They are just so close to having like a super explosive passing game. I would imagine it probably takes another offseason, but if they can just hit on some of these plays that they're missing, like prior to the Browns game, I don't know. Maybe they could do it, only because like this Packers defense, it's in a diminished state, and we saw Ben Johnson have a good plan. And again, if we're going to stay in this theme of, basically once you get out of scripts, first 15 plays, first couple of drives, Packers defense, really, really bad. And now they've lost Micah Parsons. So we'll see. Old crazy-eyed Ben Johnson, man. He's got that thing moving. And I really do like the matchup. I just don't know if they can keep pace with what Green Bay's going to do on defense.
That's it. It's not that they've run out of time. It's not like they can't do it. It's just it's whoever has the ball last type of matchup in a way.
That's what it was last time.
I'm kind of. Yeah, it was. Yeah. And Ben Johnson's so good, man. He's getting a lot really since the Black Friday game and against the Eagles. Like he's getting a lot of pub on it, but it's been really since the bye is where it's all started clicking. They had an early bye week. But like you mentioned, they're second in rushing success rate on just running back runs. By the way, the Rams are at 50%, 50.5% success rate on just running back runs. Stafford doesn't even run. And so that's absurd. But the Bears are at 46%, just above the Bills. They get explosives. I think DeAndre Swift against the Browns was the best game of his entire career.
Oh, he was so
I really mean that. He was, what happened? I mean, shout out to Eric Bieniemy, who
seriously
have seriously, like I know play calling wise, some like that's up and down, like whatever happened with Kansas City, what happened with Kansas City. As a running back coach and what he's done with Swift, this is one of the best coaching jobs I've watched, because this is truly the guy that I consider has one of the worst visions and feel for running as a running back, as far as like starters. And against the Browns, you would have no issues with how he ran. He hit the hole. He was not like dancing for extra yards. He wasn't trying to bounce anything. I mean, it's like shout out to like what's going on in that running back room, because it's just like Swift has been so improved in that regard. Yeah, that Browns game was just very impressive, I thought, from the whole offense. Everyone just had a really good execution. I was watching, you notice that like Broncos were kind of able to pepper some of the receivers and against this Packers defense. And I was kind of, all right. I've kind of noticed that a lot to the outside. Teams have just been able to pepper them to the outside. Sure enough, the Packers are 30th in total EPA allowed to receivers this season. They're only better than the Cowboys and the Titans. And I think you know how the Cowboys corners are and the Titans corners are. Name a Titan corner. Anybody listening right now, name a starting cornerback for the Tennessee Titans. I do this for a living, and I would have to struggle. But Roman Duze might not be playing, but they still have DJ Moore, still have Luther Burden, but just outside targets. You can really just pepper them. Like, it's not just all shot plays, it's just stuff underneath. They're really good tackling underneath because of all the zone coverages. But cover 3, cover quarters, and then the invert cover 2 stuff, you can still beat the invert, if that makes sense. Before the guys fly out there, you can kind of beat it with the throw. It's like technically on a board, you say, oh, there's a flat defender, but you can win with timing. And I think teams are just able to do that. And I also looked, though, just because how Bo Nix was just able to create so much, I looked at throws taking longer than 2.5 seconds. So when the ball is extended, it's not extended, just non-quick throws. And Packers, 29th in total EPA, 17th in EPA per pass. And Caleb Williams has the second most dropbacks that have taken 2.5 seconds or more. He has a long time to throw some of the creation stuff, but also just this is the design of the offense. Some of the completion rate stuff has been kind of over. He's not inaccurate. Like, he's an accurate quarterback. Some of the completion rate stuff is because they attack so downfield. I've talked about this endlessly, but also he has a decent amount of BPUs, balls batted down. And he also has a high amount. Caleb has a lot of throwaways. So if you kind of adjust it with drops as well, it's not as bad as you would think. They don't throw a lot of screens, not a lot of dink and dunk, not a lot of quick game. And so I was just kind of looking. Yeah, they have the second most dropbacks to take more than 2.5 seconds. So that's something too. Caleb creating out of structure because he's so gifted at that. And the other thing I looked at was in breakers. That was kind of just something I noticed too, is like something you can kind of get after this defense against in breakers. So I'm talking in routes, crossing routes, posts, slants, and angle routes. The Packers are allowed the 6th highest success rate against in breakers. They allowed the highest EPA per dropback, 0.59 EPA per dropback on 122 passing attempts. QBs have gone 89 for 122 for 12 touchdowns, 0 picks, 73% completion rate, 8.5 yards per attempt, 131 passer rating if you're into the boomer stats. They are in breakers. You can get them because of just how they run all this zone stuff. So high lows. And this is what Caleb has thrown so much more in this offense because this is what Ben Johnson wants with all the play action stuff. That's something that I think some in breakers to Burden, over routes to DJ Moore, Colson Loveland on like a seam bender or a dig. I could see those kind of popping off against this defense as well. So I'm with you. I think the Bears are going to be able to score like pretty. I don't know what the over under is off the top of my head. Do we have that written down? I should have written that down. But I'm going to guess it's high, and I think it'll hit. It's kind of what my too long didn't read of this matchup is. I think the Bears have a lot of natural answers against this Packers defense.
Yeah, they're in the. I think the Packers, they're kind of in danger here on defense, especially now that Micah Parsons is out for the season. Like, just like their pass defense stats, like when he's on or off the field, it's honestly pretty stark what the difference is. Like when he's on the field, giving up 0.04 EPA per dropback. When he's off the field, that jumps to 0.17, that's a pretty big jump. Their pressure to sack ratio literally cuts in half from 18% to 9%. When he's off the field, their sack rate drops from 7.4% to 4%. I mean, this basically changes the entire structure of what's possible for the defense. I mean, explosive pass rate goes up, success rate goes up. Every single stat goes in direction in favor of the offense when he comes off the field. And that they lost Devontae Wyatt too. I just worry that they might not have the horses at this point in the season. And like their pass defense performance has just been legitimately bad when Micah Parsons is not on the field. Like, man, I thought that pass rush trio was going to be, a lot for them, but it's still just Micah for the most part. Like Rashawn Gary, I don't know what happened there. I don't know. I thought he was kind of turning the corner when he signed that contract and hasn't really been the same since. So they got to figure something out quick, or else they might be a frustratingly early exit, because they're just not getting much pressure when Micah's out. I mean, that's the fact your pressure sack ratio drops from 18% to 9% when he's off the field. Dude, that means he's doing too much lifting. A little too much lifting for you.
Well, that's why he's the closer, but I agree. Yeah, they have, it's all the stats. Yeah, 4% sack rate, which is 31st when he's not on the field. Their passing success rate is what? So it's defensive passing success rate, so it's 54%. Right. So 100 minus 54. So what's that? 46, 45.9. Yeah, that would rank 20th. Wow. Yeah, no, it's obvious. It's exactly what you'd expect out of this. But and Van Ness came back in, or is healthy again. But that's the thing, is he was developing, and he still needs reps. So it's not like Van Ness gets back there and it's like, oh, here comes the ready-made guy. It's like, no, he's still a work in progress. So yeah, I don't know how else to describe it. It's like I don't feel those impact plays with this team, like the defense, outside of Parsons, of course. And Carl Brooks will have a couple moments and everything, but it's just, I like the linebackers. I like a lot of it. I like the spine on the back end, the front end, not so much. Like they're just, gettable. You can attack outside. It's just they need guys to make plays, which is how they played last year. They were like 8th, I think, in like EPA and DVOA and all that, but they had so many turnovers last year. So again, that's kind of what they're going to have to rely on this year with Parsons out now. I mean, you're losing your closer, so you have to win on the front end and all that. But all right, let's give our final predictions. The Bears are 1-point underdogs at Soldier Field while they still play at Soldier Field.
This is a pick 'em. Basically, I'm going to roll the Packers. Jordan Love. I do think this game will be more high scoring than last time, just because the Packers defense is a little bit weaker. And it's not like the Jordan Love really should be in MVP situations. Like I understand why he's not, like, why we're not talking about it more, because they don't have as many wins, the Rams. But like his efficiency this year has been ridiculous. And absurd. If it does get into like a high volume game and the Bears are scoring, I mean, they'll still be able to go blow for blow. So I'm gonna go with the Packers. And then that last couple of weeks, the NFC North gets real interesting.
I'm also going Packers, but again, Bears fans, the offense is legit. You can win a Super Bowl with this offense and this quarterback. Like, I think that may be the best way I can put it. It's the defense. It's just hard to hang your hat on that. And I get the Packers defense loses Micah Parsons. They still just have other stuff, and they've shown before. I mean, at least last year, and again, it's different personnel entirely, and I get that. Just maybe a little bit more faith in that. So, I mean, Bears can obviously still win this game. It's a 1-point spread for a reason, but I'm going to go with the Packers here. I agree with you with Jordan Love. Rewatching that Broncos game, he was absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. I know the pick at the end, and that's the memories, and they weren't able to get anything done on those last couple drives. Dude, it was one of the best performances in the entire year. Like, the stats might not bear it out completely, but some of the throws he was making, how he was operating, how quick he was operating, the timing he was throwing with, to beat pass rushes, to beat the Broncos DBs that we just hyped up against the Jags. It's like, it was really impressive. And I agree with you. It's like, to me, it's 4 guys. It's May, Stafford, Allen, and Love. Those are the 4 to me for 3 weeks to go to win MVP. So I'm with you on that one. But yeah, we'll move on to one of those names I mentioned, Drake May. We'll go to the Patriots and the Ravens. The Ravens are 3-point favorites in Baltimore. This is a fun one. 2 teams that you can get a little bit of everything with these teams, depending on the week. You really could. All 4 units, you can get a little bit of everything. I think Drake May has been the most steady guy of everything that's happened with these 4 units in that passing game. Because, I mean, the Patriots run game is still iffy. It's gotten better. Still just iffy, though. And then the Ravens offense, oh, man. You tell me what's going on. I got some stuff we'll talk about there. Ravens defense has improved. Patriots defense has splits, which I'll talk about. But we'll start with when the Patriots have the ball against the Ravens defense. What are you focusing on this side of the ball, Chuck?
Drake May, it's really good.
He's good, man.
Yeah, he's really good.
Another guy
also, no, like Baltimore is in an interesting spot too, because like you said, their defense has really improved this year. When you just look at, I think a lot of their season should be looked through. Even this is messy, like through the prism of when Lamar first came back against that game against the Dolphins, because that's kind of like what this team is now. And I know that even in that run, they're 5-2. Doesn't quite feel like it though, because they've had to really grit out some wins in that span. But the defense since week 9, their pass defense is first in first down conversion rate. Third in success rate, fifth in explosive pass rate. And again, it's not the craziest slate of offenses. You've got Miami, you got the J.J. McCarthy Minnesota game, you had Shedeur Sanders first action, then they played the Jets, Cincinnati twice, and then the Bengals over the last 3 games, though. So Cincinnati twice and the Steelers over the last 3 games. So you're getting more formidable, even though those teams are incomplete right now. It's a fair enough sample size where you can say they've improved, but I don't know if I'm at the point where I'll say they've improved to the point where they're going to significantly slow down what we've seen from Drake May, because they still don't get a lot of pressure. They're looking for difference makers on the outside, and if you're not going to get pressure on Drake, it doesn't really matter who he's throwing to, because these guys he's throwing to are not great. And he's just kind of been such a singular force. And if he's not going to be affected, and I still just think the Ravens kind of need to prove it against an offense that's been a little bit more functional than, who they played on this run, even though it has definitely been a severe improvement, because the worst version of this Texans team that we've seen scored 44 points on them. So it's been bad for them, and they've improved. I just think this will be kind of a good litmus test for them as they move on. Potentially towards being in the postseason, which sounds crazy to say compared to where they started this year, where it looked like they were about to have a top 10 pick.
And we were giving them Peter Woods. They still might get Peter Woods, by the way. Peter Woods is dropping to the teens. Peter Woods has got short arms, apparently. So, no, I've been trying to figure it out, because stat-wise, yes, the Ravens' defense is way improved. That once they moved Kyle Hamilton back to the slot in the box, they had their bye. So they kind of 3 things happened. They moved Hamilton, they traded for Alohi Gilman, and then they had their bye week in week 7. So they started using dime more, 6 DBs. They're basically basing out of dime now. Since week 8, they've used 5 or more DBs, so nickel or dime, on 93% of their snaps. 61% nickel, 38% dime. Before that, it was mostly nickel, a little bit of dime, and about 15-20% base. And since week 8, since all those changes, they're first in success rate, 4th in rushing success rate, 2nd in passing success rate, all under 37% too. So just real good stuff. 3rd best in 3rd down conversion rate, 4th in EPA per play, 1st against the run. And then they allow some explosives in the run game, which Patriots run game isn't great, but they still have Travion Henderson, which, that can take any of those runs to the house. So that is something against the Patriots run game. It's not something that churns and churns and churns. It's more once they get blocked up, they can take it to the house, or at least Henderson can. And I was just kind of looking at splits. Yes, Tavius Robinson has come back. Some of the vets that they've added on have helped out as well. We've talked about Draymond Jones and others too, but I totally agree with you. There's no real pass rush going on. It's just fine. I don't even say it's fine. It's kind of below average, to be honest. It's not very threatening. It's more designery and more, hey, they're just really good against the run, get you in the 3rd down, and hopefully we have these dime DBs, 2 really smart guys. I mean, Malachi Starks has been really cool, too, by the way. He had a great tackle on special teams, I tweeted out. But he's been real cool. Hamilton's Hamilton, but Gilman's been actually a nice, good player for them. But I was kind of just looking. I was like, all right, you guys are in dime. What do you run in dime? This is exactly how I would break down a game if I were a coach or a quarterback. All right, so when you're in dime, what do you do? A lot of man coverage, a lot of cover 3, and a lot of cover 2. All right, a lot of single high, essentially. And that makes sense. They want the safeties rotating down, make it funky over the middle. I'm watching against the Bills. And I was like, man, the Bills and man coverage kind of hemmed up the Patriots, especially, maybe it was just a 4th down play, which I broke down on YouTube. Make sure you check that out. Maybe that one's just living in my head. But I looked at Drake May against man coverage this year. fourth in dropback success rate, seventh in EPA per dropback, second in net yards and attempt, third in completion rate, fourth in explosive passes, first in scrambles and scramble rate. And then I was kind of just going, all right, who does he target? It's basically when they get man coverage, it's Stefon Diggs. That's who he targets. That's who Drake May targets. This is a long-winded way to say this might be a big Stefon Diggs game. 27% target share against man. He has 19 catches. Of his 19 catches against man coverage this year, how many do you think have gone for a first down, Chuck? 19 catches against man coverage.
Say 16.
Ooh, almost nailed it. 17. And his yards per target on those is 8.9. So it's a little 5-6 yard, little beaters, there's some games I can think of where he peppers them. So it makes sense. I looked at the other receivers. Pop Douglas has a high target share as well. He spreads the ball around, but it's Diggs and then it kind of spread it around. Kayshon Boutte against man has an 11% target share, which is, and he's been healthy for a good chunk of the games as well. So I was just kind of looking at that. So it might be a big Stefon Diggs game. Also against the blitz, the Ravens defense, when they blitz, it's all out of single high structures. Like they do not blitz out two high structures like some of the other defenses we talk about. They're very susceptible to scrambles, and they also allow the 25th highest or lowest, or no highest. They rank 25th in explosive pass rate allowed, I should say, almost 20%. So to me, kind of seems obvious where they're going to kind of go here. I think it's going to be a lot of Diggs, maybe some Pop Douglas, try to run it, but I think the run game is going to be good for the Ravens. It's going to be just more you hopefully boom bust. It's going to feel a little bit like the Bucs game, I think. Ugly run games, maybe a couple pop, and then Drake May having to play hero ball on third down and some other plays against some funky coverage looks. That's how I kind of envision it a little bit. Because even though Hunter Henry's another main target for the Pats, Patriots, first in EPA, or Ravens defense, first in EPA versus tight end targets, second in EPA against slot targets. All right, so to me, it kind of seems like a Diggs game, maybe a Ramondre Stevenson out of the backfield or Henderson out of the backfield type of game. At least that's how I envision it, at least. A lot of Drake May. Yeah. A lot of Drake May. Yeah. Which it should be. He's very good. All right, we'll go to the other side of the ball, who also has a very good quarterback that might be a little banged up, but just a little bit banged up. And I have some stuff to look at for that one. But going against the Patriots defense that also was banged up, Milton Williams is still out for another week. Robert Spillane was in a walking boot, their linebacker. Carlton Davis is banged up, but he came back against the Bills last week, but he is huge. The Patriots kind of a predicament defense. They don't want to give up explosive plays. The Ravens thrives off explosive plays this year, and how the Patriots want to play, it maybe isn't their best way to play. They should, and I'll talk about that in a sec. Like they just have a lot of things where they're damned if they do, damned if they don't kind of defense right now, kind of just how they feel going against a Ravens offense. It's kind of taking a little step back this year, but it's all explosives basically. That's what they thrive off of. But what are you focusing on this side of the ball, Chuck?
Run the ball, match it. They're kind of
run it.
Yeah, they're kind of back. Okay. The running game it's been good again since Lamar got back. It's not as good as it was last year. That would have been an unreasonable standard, but last year what kind of made the Ravens run with Henry and Lamar so ridiculous. Like you could just kind of just feel the physical presence of both of them at all times. Even that's the Steelers playoff game. I remember, I was covering it and at the end of the game, the Steelers, they're getting roasted for the scrape exchange technique. Who's supposed to get who? I'm like, bro, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Because ultimately, that X or O you have drawn the board has to tackle Lamar Jackson or Derrick Henry in the open field. Whatever. It doesn't matter. You want the linebacker take him, you want the DN to take him, you want
flames shooting out of it.
Yes, yeah. It's bro, you want to put Jesus there, he might not make that tackle in that spot. It doesn't matter. But it's not quite that level explosive. But since marking back in week 9, they're third in EPA per rush. They're third in explosive rush rate. Yeah, they're still getting a little too many negative runs, but overall, 19th in successful player on rushing attempts, but they're third in EPA per rush. So, that's a lot of explosives there. In that time span, you just listed all those injuries that the Patriots have had. I think it's affecting their run defense because in that time span, Lamar has gotten back since week 9, basically the worst run defense in the league. He's given up, positive offensive points for EPA, bottom 5 in success rate, bottom 2 in rushes for 5 yards, rushes for negative yards. I mean, it's been pretty bad for them since since those guys have started going down. So I think if you're the Ravens, and look, I know Lamar is playing in these games, but I've watched healthy Lamar Jackson play. I've watched healthy Lamar Jackson play this season. When he's healthy, they score 40 points. When he's not, and he's literally hobbling his way into the end zone, it's not quite the same thing. So maybe you try to protect him by just mashing the ball and trying to get physical on them, because that's one thing that the Patriots defense can't really handle right now. Which makes sense. It's not like, it's they're just so hurt. You lost to your $100 million defensive tackle. Not expecting you to be great against the run. And Spillane out too.
Need him. Yeah, you need your 2 biggest signings. 3 biggest signings. Carlton Davis is hurt too. I mean, those are the guys you brought in to shore up your defense. Yeah. Lamar hasn't hit a run this year of when he's had the ball of 20 or more miles per hour, which is significant for him. You can feel it. I mean, I see it more in the throwing stuff, but then I started breaking this down more into it. So why I look this as more, anytime you're playing Lamar Jackson, okay, quarterback design runs and scrambles. He's going to still scramble a little bit, but design runs, and I took away sneaks. So this is next gen stats. This year, Lamar only has 2 design runs a game this entire year. Last year was 4.6. His first year starting was 6.9 design runs a game. So he is about, a third of what he used to run. This year, it's about 50% success rate, 5.4 yards per carry. Not bad. He's generated 7 total EPA on these, 5 explosive runs. In 2019, his first year starting, 7.2 yards per carry, 61% success rate, generated almost 30 EPA total on these runs, 29.7, 27 explosive runs. And this is where I think you really feel it. Okay, in 2019, he forced 23 missed tackles. He had a 22.8% missed tackle forced rate on next gen stats. This year, he hasn't forced a single missed tackle. That is Lamar Jackson we're talking about. That is the dude with the football, one of the best I've ever seen with the football in his hands. He's run for 10 first downs this year on design runs. In 2019, it was 47 first downs. Last year, it was 27. So under half, and say he gets a couple more, still going to be well below what he had last year. And you can feel that. And again, this is the thing with the Ravens offense. It's not outright bad. They still can get their explosives. They literally had one of the highest explosive rates in the game that were on record last week. It's just their efficiency is just down. And it's just, especially, but I really feel that in the run game. So Lamar's not running the ball enough. Same thing happened with the Eagles. So Lamar's not running the ball as well, or as much, I should say, more than anything. But then also what used to be their fastball isn't as effective. I looked at under center runs. And this is just with Lamar on the field, because that's where I'm really feeling is that defenses are teeing off. When they get in I formation, I feel like defenses have a tell on them. The Steelers were the first ones to kind of tip, I think the first time they played, where they had a game recently where it just felt like they kind of were tipping off stuff because how the defense was playing against it. And statistically it matches up. Under center runs, 134 runs this year, 38.5% success rate on running back runs, which isn't crazy bad. It's okay. But last year it was 45%. And on 209 runs. So again, it's just less efficient, super explosive, 13% explosive run rate on these. It's just that the down-to-down efficiency is leading to a lot more third downs, a lot more long third downs, and making a lot of drives boom bust. And definitely the defense has gotten better. So you see a game like the Bengals game where maybe they have some of that boom bust that keeps them in games. And that's why early in the year, it was what's going on with the Ravens? Because the defense couldn't do their part. If you have to win this way, your defense has to get you the ball back because you're going to be boom bust. And I mean, you're not going to have long sustained drives. The Bills gave them some against this Patriots defense. They're pretty good against backfield runs, but they just have such splits, man. Mike Vrabel wants to run his defense or whatever they're doing right now. A lot of quarters, a lot of soft boxes. It's truly bend but don't break. They are we're not going to let any explosive plays happen. But I think personally, if Carlton Davis was healthy, this would be easier. But I think they should live in man coverage and they do more man coverage, but I think they're stat-wise and eye test-wise, they're much better against man coverage. So that's something I just want, I'm curious to see if they crank that up. Let Gonzalez be Gonzalez. Let Carlton Davis be Carlton Davis. That's why you have them on your team, is because they're so good at that stuff. The problem is, this is my theory. Sorry, I got deep into this one. The problem with all this man coverage is that they suck defending the run out of man coverage. They're like dead last defending the run out of man coverage. So that's the issue. Again, damned if you do, damned if you don't. Like, it's like everything that they want to do. Cover 1, 28th in EPA per run. They allow more yards per run out of man coverage than they do net yards per pass. They allow 5.4 yards per run in man coverage. They allow 5.3 yards per pass in man coverage. So damned if you do, damned if you don't. But then if we go soft coverage, then you can just run all over us, like, as well. And you can pepper us on the outside, so I don't know. I've just been real. And then on third down and fourth down, they're great against the pass. One of the best defenses against the pass. They've faced 34 design runs on third and fourth down. This includes short yardage. 28 have been successful. That's absurd. So like they say on early downs, you're not going to do this. On late downs, you're not going to do this. Like they play very stereotypically, I would say, on defense. So it's kind of a funny styles mixed fights where it's kind of two imperfect units. The last kind of note, I mentioned all the Lamar running stuff. Patriots against design runs aren't very good. They're 29th in success rate allowed against quarterback design runs, 27th in yards per rush allowed. They've allowed 5.2 yards per carry, which is, 27th worst or 6th highest, however you want to put it. So that was the last kind of note I have to say, that if Lamar does get his feeling himself, he's a little sick, maybe he's on some Dayquil, feeling a little good, maybe this is a good game to sprinkle in those design runs. It's kind of a playoff game for you. Sorry to throw a bunch of numbers at you, but I thought this side of the ball is really interesting to me. Really, really interesting.
Yeah, you covered a lot. The only thing I have to add is
it was like Rapunzel, just a bunch of threads for me just to pull at.
One thing I have to add is I was, I feel like the Ravens saying they become the Falcons is a bridge too far, but they have had like Falcon-y stuff in these games over the past couple of years where they've blown leads, have not finished games as they should.
Turnover, yeah.
Since Lamar got back, the Ravens since week 9, so that's 6-7 games, they fumbled about 8 times, which is time for 29th in the league. Just maybe something to keep an eye on because they, I don't know, man, they're just not trustworthy sometimes with this stuff. Just ridiculous. I know. I just don't get it.
I don't trust Zay Flowers. I don't trust Mark Andrews.
Yeah, I mean, as a whole, they've got 18 fumbles
this
year. They had 18 fumbles this year as a whole. It's not good. It's not what you want to see.
Yeah,
which is most
at the worst times too. Yeah. No, that's it. That's just how I think we're kind of summing it up. It's just like a very inconsistent unit right now. The highs are still so high, and it's like, oh, chase that dragon. But it's just, the down stuff is just iffy. But having said all that, still alive in the AFC and still have a shot. 34% chance. New York Times model, if they win, it bumps up to 44%. So, all right, final predictions. The Ravens are a field goal favorites at home.
I'm going to take the Ravens, and I'm going to take them to cover. I like how they match up against this. The Patriots' run defense is just so soft. And I think, even though the Ravens' run defense isn't good, run the offense unit isn't great down to down, they still hit the explosives. Derrick Henry, he might have lost, 20% of his speed, but still getting that freight train, the runway, they can still rip off some explosives every now and then. And it's crazy, because even though Lamar is he's obviously hurt, because even in the game against the Steelers a couple weeks ago, he scored a touchdown, and it's like a short, he's running to the end zone, maybe from 10 yards out. He's only
I know exactly what you're talking about.
He's literally hobbling. So I'm like okay, when I saw that play, I was like, whatever happens here, I don't really care about. Just get to the next season healthy. Don't get hurt. But I do think that they match up well for this game. And just got to keep on trucking, because then you're still in play for the AFC North, and you could be hosting a home playoff game and going home pretty shortly after that, I would imagine.
They honestly could lose the game against the Packers, and it really is. If they have to win this game, it's a winner.
Yes.
Basically, go home for them, because then it comes down to the Steelers game in week 18. They could lose the next two and still have a shot against the Steelers in week 18. Not really.
This is a must win for must win for New England too. I mean, because Buffalo's right on their ass. I actually wrote about this week for Four Birds. Yeah, I wrote about this week in a Four Birds column. Bills getting Cleveland this week when you got to go to Baltimore. That's kind of a tough one because now if they lose this game, because both have the same record, you split the division series and season, and it's kind of play ball for the last 2 weeks. Just has to, it's got to win. It's got to win because I'm pretty sure the Bills are going to win this week against the Browns.
And for the Patriots were so healthy to start the year and kind of gotten banged up in the last month or two. They're a team that would much rather, they played the Jets and Dolphins the last 2 weeks. Probably a team that would much rather just be like, hey, let's everybody chill. Like we can feel this as opposed to, oh, we got to win this game. All right, starters. All right, we got a game plan, yada, yada. And this is a team. This is different than like the Chiefs who make the playoffs year after year, or even the Bills. They just have experience doing this. I know Vrabel is a Patriot guy, McDaniels. These players aren't filled with a bunch of guys that have made big playoff runs or are used to this type of schedule as well. Some are, but that's another kind of just human aspect of all this too. Like they're learning how to win in the most stereotypical sense. I'm also going with the Ravens here just because I do think the Ravens have good answers against this Patriots team. And I just don't really consider the Patriots team complete until they get healthy in a couple of weeks, until they get Milton Williams back. And then Will Campbell after that, the left tackle. So going with the Ravens because they're just a little bit more, I don't know. I still think Drake May is going to score some points. I still think they're going to have some plays of the passing game stuff, but I do think that the Ravens offense has much better answers against this Patriots defense. So I'm right there with you. All right, we're going to take our last break. We'll come back with a couple cheat sheet items and some Hail Marys. See you guys in a sec. We are back with the cheat sheet. We'll start the beautiful NFC South. Does anybody want to win this division game? We have the Bucs at the Panthers. Panthers are 3-point underdogs at home. What's your cheat sheet item for this game, Chuck? Because these two teams, man, it's like just somebody win and look good for more than 1 week. That's all I ask of these two teams.
This is like the worst division race ever. Like, even for like where the NFC South is, this is pretty low, because at least like the years where it was just like Tampa Bay winning it, like after time left, the past couple of years, like last year's Bucs team, that was a good football team. This year's Bucs team,
really good.
Don't quite feel the same way. Everybody in the NFC South has a negative point differential. I feel like that kind of tells the whole story. We're just piddling around down here, but I guess the interesting thing here is, as crappy as like this season has been for the NFC South and how up and down it's been, like there's some real triumph here for the Panthers and what they've accomplished this year. I mean, it looked like Dave Canales might have been the latest, the latest from the chopping block on David Tepper's increasingly long list. He's got like, how the Browns have like that jersey with all the quarterback names. He's just got like a bloody business suit in his cabinet back at the Panthers facility. Just got coach names on it and GM names on it. I thought we were going to lose Dan Morgan and
he rips off their headset like a gun and badge from like a cop. He takes their headset away, so he's got a bunch of headsets.
Well, he did that to an actual fan at a restaurant where he ripped that guy's hat off.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that's not even off brand for him. Be careful.
Oh, yeah, that's
careful.
Right.
He's everywhere, terrorizing the people of Charlotte. I guess
Rock Hill, this game, apparently.
Yes, and Rock Hill. Yeah, just ghost building, just in the middle of nowhere. I've seen it. I saw it with my own eyes. It was a horrific eyesore. Yes, I did. It's not that far from where my parents live, actually, if you go take a drive. But for this game, I guess for the Panthers, all I really want to see for them is, and I mean this like in like a football way, like can you keep the good times going? Can you do the Baker Mayfield kind of what you did to Matthew Stafford? Can you just get a bunch of turnovers? Because that seems to be like the best way for them to end up playing defense against just about everyone they play. Like the defense has been interesting this year. Like it's not a great unit, but they're improved. They're certainly improved from last year. And I think that this has been a really good year for Ejiro Evero-Sock, just to see if he can, kind of climb out of the mud. Because honestly, my thing last year with him was like, maybe he's lost the juice a little bit, but look at this defense. Like they didn't have any NFL like caliber players really, not even like depth piece or starters. Because once Derek Brown went
down, it was dead. Yeah,
they had nothing. So to even just to get back into like below average, and you're still a little probably over reliant on turnovers still, but to get back in that is a pretty big jump for them. But is it that bad to be over reliant on turnovers where you're going against this version of Tampa Bay's offense? I mean, Baker, it feels like he's giving out like opportunities on the ball like candy right now. So even in a world where you're still working personnel-wise on Carolina, I think there's going to be opportunities to get their hands on the ball. And man, if I were going to sit here and tell you that I knew what was going to come from Carolina's offense, that'd be the biggest lie in the world. So I have no idea. They look so bad sometimes, and then they look so good sometimes.
I know.
When Bryce and Ted are on the same page and the run game synced up, and then you lose to the Saints. Like, it's just
I know.
I don't know. They're really weird, and I'm done trying to give up like what's happening week to week with this unit.
I'm trying to figure them out too, man. They're one of the most confusing teams. They can beat the Packers on the road, beat the Rams. They can do all this stuff, and then they just lose to the Saints. And I rewatched that game. I'm like, you guys really did lose this? My curiosity with the Panthers, because I would say that if you just a couple weeks ago, the strength of this team is their run game and their O-line and the run game, and it doesn't matter if it's Dowdle or Chuba Hubbard. Since week 10, the Panthers run game 31st in running back rushing success rate. 30% rushing success rate since week 10. 31st in explosive runs on design runs, so taking away scrambles, 2.6%. They only have like 2 or 3. 3.8 yards per rush. That's 27th since week 10. Going against Vita Vea, you can still run on this Bucs defense. There's ways to do it, but that strength isn't as strengthy. It's not as strong in the last month or two. And when you go against Todd Bowles, what's the easy split that we look? What's the easy filter we look versus blitz? That is the easiest one against Todd Bowles. All right, click. True Media, quarterback blitzed. Yes. Panthers, 30th in EPA per dropback against the blitz this year. 25th in explosive play rate. 20th in success rate. 26th in net yards per attempt against the blitz this year. 29th in passer rating. 29th in turnovers per play. So not great against the blitz. 24th in sack rate. That's what I was trying to look up. So not great against the blitz going against Todd Bowles. And these two teams play 2 out of 3. I mean, these are play two game playoff series, basically. It's basically like a soccer Champions League quarterfinal, home and away. Yeah, but that's really what I got to look at is like the strengths have to be the strengths again for the Panthers for them to win this game, because I do think the Bucs, even if they were very incomplete and very inconsistent and very infuriating as a team, they have a little bit more talent. And also Todd Bowles, I've never seen him that emotional after they lost last week. He laid into his players.
I mean, he should have. You let Kirk Cousins throw 3 touches on you, man. Are you kidding? Mm-hmm. Come on now.
That was one of those where it's like, oh yeah, Todd Bowles used to be an NFL DB. Like, it was one of those moments where it's like, oh yeah, they still have that little psycho edge to them that you don't always see. And it's like, oh,
I bet he apologized. I bet he apologized to some guys after that. Just a couple though.
Oh, he straight up called him out. I know, but so when that happens, the team either plays insane the next week or totally white flags it. So that's what I'm keeping my eye on with that.
I think there could be a third scenario here too, where you get that plus Baker frenetic multiplier, where everyone just gets emotionally burnt out and the Panthers pull away in the fourth quarter. Because when Baker starts pressing, man, it's bad, man. Because
it's bad.
It starts weighing on everyone. Because he's like, dude, he's trying to dig us out of holes, and he's just digging a bigger one. And the Panthers defense, they've been opportunistic this year.
Yes,
June. I don't know. They've had such an interesting season. I really want to dive back into it more, but like I feel like I should say this though about the Panthers. This is what it looks like when you have a struggling young quarterback who's like actually earned another year as a starter. Because Bryce Young, one, like they're going to be out of draft range. Like they have potential to make the playoffs. You really going to spend the 20th pick on the quarterback? Probably not. And man, like it's been inconsistent and there's a ways to go, but I really have enjoyed like some of the playmaking that he's had in like the high leverage moments this year. Especially that Rams game. And even like the Dolphins game early this year, he does have moments where he can really throw the ball down the field with accuracy. It's just more about like, is he ever going to be consistent enough at that size? But given where they are, man, like I really do think he's earned another year as a starter, which is something I did not see myself saying at the start of the season. So shout out to Bryce, man. That's been a nice little turnaround story. And like, I actually feel like it's been more turnaround this year than it was last year, when it just felt like,
last year,
they've kind of hot streak.
It's definitely more real this year. Yeah. I also say Tetero McMillan, to me,
good player,
should be the favorite for rookie of the year, and also Jalen Coker, two very good players on this Panthers team, I will say. So that has been going for them. They got to get the run game right. Bucks got. Other thing about Baker, he's such a high wire act, and that's how he was playing at the beginning of the season. It's everything else has become less efficient. Kind of what we're talking about the Ravens, other teams. And when the run game isn't as good, truly one of the worst run games this year. It doesn't matter if Bucky Irving, even his rushing success rate is probably, I think it's dead last, the qualifying running backs, or bottom three. The run game's not as good and the screens aren't as good. So the highs that Baker can get to is great, but when the floor is so low in this offense, you can't rely on that. And when he feels like he has to press that whole game, oh no. You want confident Baker that's going for kill shots, not confident Baker that's trying to dig you out and make you come back. It's a different vibe of aggressiveness. So you have a prediction on this game? Bucks are 3-point favorites on the road.
I just don't trust Tampa Bay right now. I'm going to go with Carolina. Carolina, the NFC South winners. There's the possibility that if the Panthers win out, they could be 10-7 with a negative point differential. Kind of crazy. I mean, they're almost basically guaranteed. Basically guaranteed to have negative point differential. Yeah, even if they went out, they're basically guaranteed.
That's funny.
God, what a crappy division.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah, it is. It really is. All right, I'm going to have the same prediction as you. All right, last cheat sheet item. This is Steelers at Lions. Do you have anything on this game? I think this is going to be an absolute fist fight of the Steelers offense versus the Lions defense. But no, anything in this game?
I just want to see if Jared Goff stands tall, because this seems like, even though the Steelers defense hasn't been great this year, they still have these moments where they ruin like some of the maybe like less mobile court, like we saw with Tua, and obviously that's the extreme example. But if you can force Jared Goff, into a couple bad throws where maybe you get a free runner, or someone finally beats a block, because they're still top 6 in pass interception rate on defense. The Steelers are. It's basically the only thing they do well on defense this year. So you're gonna have to force Jared Goff some turnovers, and then that's really about it.
I have like the Steelers defense has gotten much better with Jalen Ramsey at safety, James Pierre as an outside corner. I want to give a shout out to James Pierre before I kind of break this down. He's hurt though, so this is all for naught. I think Asante Samuel Jr. will be the opposite corner, but once they made this move of putting Ramsey in the back, so this is since week 9. James Pierre was his second in success rate allowed among all outside corners, only behind Quinyon Mitchell. First in yards per target at 4.6. Second is Quinyon Mitchell. He has 11 PBUs and he's only allowed 13 catches. He's been playing really well on the outside, but he's hurt. So that point just goes. But I looked at this game too, because I kind of noticed what the Steelers, how people have gone after the Steelers this entire year. And so I think this is a big Amon-Ra St. Brown game. Steelers versus the slot are 29th in EPA allowed against the slot. Since they moved Ramsey, they're 24th. But against receiver targets to the outside, they're top 10. So that's the thing, is I think James Williams maybe a little taper off, and it's more of a slot attacking Amon-Ra St. Brown game. And that's just kind of how I look at this game. I think the run game for the other side of the ball, like the Steelers run game or the Steelers offense versus the Lions defense, is just going to be a total fist fight. And the Lions defense wants you to attack. They want you to attack over the middle. Or how you attack them is over the middle based on how they play. A lot of base defense, outside leverage, cover 3 kind of stuff, man coverage stuff. Aaron Rodgers isn't thrown over the middle. So it's, and the Lions run defense, even with all the injuries, is one of the best tackling teams. And they base out of base defense, like where they have 3 linebackers, 4 DBs going against an offense that uses receivers less than anybody. So just a total slug fight on that side of the ball. So it'll be fun to watch from a curiosity standpoint on that side of the ball. The Lions are 7-point favorites. I don't know. I think they're the clear favorites in this game. 7 points was kind of crazy to me, but I actually have looked at them like they're explosive on offense. They might pull this off and pull that off. So I think it's a Lions win, and I think they even cover 7 points, even though these two teams have the same record. Do you think the same way?
Yeah, I do too. I just think ultimately Pittsburgh's defensive line play is just a little too poor right now. And the other team has Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah. All right. We are going to wrap up the show. I think that's a good way to put it. Aaron Rodgers doesn't throw the ball downfield enough. It's just like, it's one of these things. So if you could stop the run and then you can take away go balls, all right. Like just tackle, and the Lions are a good tackling team. So it's like, I don't know. That feels like a slog. Feels like feels like the Chargers game from a few weeks ago. Just feels like a very frustrating offensive performance for the Steelers offense, but maybe their defense can keep them in the game. All right. We're going to wrap up the show. This was an XXL size episode. Heck yeah. But it's time to wrap up the show with some Hail Marys. All right, Hail Marys. This is where we throw up a prayer of prediction. I've got 2 this season. Chuck's got 1. I had the Chiefs beating the Chargers by double digits. They just straight up lost. You had the Bills rushing for 200 on the Patriots, and he just couldn't get there. It was a great run game from them. Duo zone. I had a whole bunch of cut-ups on that one, but just couldn't quite get there. Another reason why I think the Ravens will be able to run on them. But anyways, what is your Hail Mary prediction? And I think you got a little bonus segment in this as well.
Yeah, it's a little bonus hoss fight because Myles Garrett's a sack and a half away from breaking the sack record. It's funny. He said Brown sacks. Myles Garrett, 21 and a half. Next best, Malik Collins at 6.5, which is a good number for a DT, but it's a big split.
Played well this year, I heard. Yeah.
It's a good number for a DT. But my prediction is he's not getting that number this week. Only because Buffalo, at what point is Buffalo going to stop throwing the ball in this game? Is it going to be before halftime? That's kind of where I'm at. Like just deflate the ball. Because deflate the ball. Well, it's that, and if there's one thing that Joe Brady's going to do, if something's working, he's probably going to call it over and over again. Or if it's just time to like kind of get into that mode where we just got to churn out these rushing yards to get to the end of the game, which could be in the second quarter, depending on how the Browns' offense plays. I'm just not sure there'll be enough opportunities for Myles Garrett to get home and get to Josh Allen the 2 times that he would need to break the sack record. I still think it could happen once because, man, even in these low volume passing games that he's playing in because they can never get a lead, he's still absolutely whooping people. Like if you get a chance on like obvious passing downs, go watch him against the Bears last weekend, because when he knew like they were going to throw the ball, my God, he was like coming like just 100,000 miles per hour off the edge and getting like some ridiculous pressures. So I know he's going to be going for it. I think that the battle between him and Deion Dawkins and Josh Allen, like that trio of just mass is kind of fun, but just don't think he'll have enough opportunities because this Browns offense is horrendously bad, and Bill's defense shouldn't really have any problem with this. Yeah,
I know. I like that. When Strahan set the record in 2001, my dad was the O-line coach for the Vikings, and I just looked this up. I didn't realize that, but he was they played in the middle of the season, but Strahan already had 15 sacks through 9 weeks, and so they play. My dad's like, you're not getting the sack record against us. Like, I'm not letting you do this. So it was like triple team, running back over there, tight end, helping out every single play. My dad's still the line coach. He used to be a former player, so a lot of the players still kind of chirped him, even when he was on the sideline. And Strahan, I still remember this. I was a ball boy. Strahan goes, Tice, what are you doing, man? I thought we were boys, Tice. My dad's like, you're not getting this record, man. You're not setting it against us. So not today. I just had to bring that up because, not today. And I think the same way that I think they're going to deflate that football and they're going to pound that rock and just say, nope, not getting it against us. And I think it's just what their defense does, get the ball back, just kind of do what the Bears did. Just like, nope, we'll just run this out, throw this out, and get the plays we want.
Since the fateful day when Dylan Gabriel left the lineup against the Baltimore Ravens in Week 11, the Browns are averaging 1.06 first downs per drive. 1 first down per drive. I don't know. This could be over pretty quickly. Yeah,
That's a lot of
Bills
three and
defense is
outs.
playing pretty solid lately. You know, like the Bills defense is streaky, but this is not a streak.
They're playing much better.
Flat line.
Yeah. Just take care of this kind of game. I'll say one thing about the Browns. It's like they're playing so many rookies, the backup O-line too, and it's just like you can see. And this is why I said that's why I said Shedeur is more of a project than people realize. Just watch him on like bootlegs, is depth on bootlegs. You have to get to 9 to 10 yards, and look how quick he is. So I'm just pointing out one little detail and why I say this guy needs a lot of time. And you can just tell which concepts he has no comfort level with. So it's ugly to watch right now. The entire offense.
Yeah, it's just. I mean, it's awful. It's just awful.
It is.
Whatever. There's 3 games left, and we'll be done with this soon. Because, look,
and we can talk about their 2 first-round picks in a little bit.
Yeah, I was about to say, ain't no quarterback that was in this room this year starting next year. It's just not happening. Especially if Stefanski needs to save his job. Come on now.
They're looking at Mendoza and Dante Moore. And they're hoping Dante Moore declares. That's what they're doing right now. If
people on the hot seat, dude, they give the franchise over to a 5th-round pick. That happens all the time. Yeah.
Who has the worst who's bottom of the barrel with all the stats. Yeah, I know. That's exactly what you do. All right, I'll get to my prediction. My Hail Mary prediction is this is not about either of the quarterbacks. This is more about the defenses and I think how the flow of the game is going to go. I think there's going to be 4 total interceptions in the Jaguars-Broncos game. I don't know who's going to throw them. It might be 2-2. It might be 4-0. It might be 3-1. But I think there's going to be 4 total interceptions in this game. I just think there's going to just be some high leverage moments. Some stuff's going to happen. The Jaguars are opportunistic. The Broncos are the Broncos defense. So that was my Hail Mary prediction in this game because just for fun, just to add a little tie into that game because I think it's going to be so much fun. Also, what's not fun is also, I just want to say this before we close out the show. Stop crapping on this current generation of quarterbacks just because Philip Rivers threw 1 ball. Just please stop doing that. The NBAification of the NFL analysis is really obnoxious. And this is the clearest example that people are acting like modern day quarterbacks can't walk and chew gum at the same time. They're faster, smarter. They are so much better than people are giving them credit for, and going against defenses that are way harder to go against for. And I watched Philip Rivers, and I watched that game back. 1, Sam Darnold played way better than people thought. 2, Philip Rivers, first quarter, got fooled 3 times by what the Seahawks did on defense. And people are acting like, oh my God, look at it. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed watching Philip Rivers play. He had a couple cool throws. It was cool. He got fooled as well. And people are acting like, oh my God, see, you need a 44-year-old to play quarterback these days. It's like, guys, come on. It's just because he could operate the offense without having to like teach anything going into on the road while they're playing for the playoffs. So,
that's the crazy thing too. Like with the development, like people are like, oh, the Colts have a quarterback development problem. Do they, or is it December? Like the trade deadline's been gone for weeks. Yeah, like what free agent? You sign Colin Kaepernick? Like we know that's not happening. So ultimately, if you don't think Riley Leonard can operate the offense in a manner that can help you reach the playoffs, doing air quotes around that, because that's a ridiculous notion to me, then I guess you sign Philip Rivers. But no, it's just a freak accident. They all got hurt, and I would. One of the things I remember when we were working on the project, the 25-year project before the season, I fell down the rabbit hole. There's YouTube playlists with like all these like early 2000s games.
It's the best.
Bro, Bo Nix would be one of the best quarterbacks in the league. If I picked up Bo Nix right now and dropped him into 2002, he would be one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Like the idea that quarterback play is worse than it was 20 years ago. Every other position is better, but the quarterbacks are worse. Or is it you just haven't taken the time to know who these guys are? And you're just
every athlete in every sport has gotten skilled and faster, but the quarterbacks have gotten worse. That's all this stuff. There's 500 quarterback coaches out there, 5,000 quarterback coaches out there. And now we're going to say that's all gotten worse. Like, oh no, there's all this internet, all this stuff, all these ideas can be shared quicker than ever and copied quicker than ever. No, it's gotten worse. And quarterbacks are dumber and they don't know how to read a defense or something like that. That's the other thing too. Guys like Josh Allen and Mahomes and Lamar on top of Burrow and all that, like their intelligence, I would be so ticked if I were one of these quarterbacks because people act like they're total dumbasses and they just run around and stuff. These guys are so smart and they handle all the pre-snap operation that we say only quarterbacks 20 years ago used to do. They do the exact same thing. There's just different flows of offenses. So it's very infuriating to me because my NFL brain's been alive since 1998, more or less. And I can assure you that the floor of quarterback play is higher than ever.
Yeah.
It's just very hard to be elite still. It really is.
That's why.
Easily.
That's honestly sometimes like while I'm sitting here, like I'll be sympathizing with people who like are rooting for Shedeur Sanders or rooting for J.J. McCarthy because, if you're not watching like these full games, you're not watching a lot of football and you'll see, Shedeur rip like a great deep pass every once in a while or J.J. McCarthy, just rip one down the sideline that's going 100 miles per hour and it looks perfect. Every quarterback can do that now. That's the thing. Like that's the baseline. Yep. Every starting quarterback can do that. Every single one. So like when you watch that, dude, that doesn't mean anything anymore. It would have meant something maybe 30 years ago, but now, dude, like I've watched Sam Howell hit throws like that. He's barely in the NFL now. It's literally the baseline skill set. That's how good these guys are. Your average quarterback is so much better than what's 20 years ago. And I just don't understand how we've even gotten to this conversation point. It's so dumb when you think about it for like more than 2 seconds.
It is. It's somebody tweeted, I can't remember. I want to say it was Anthony Richardson plays, but it was somebody's plays and it was just all 22 end zone. Like somebody does a cut up like, man, what could have been or something like that. And someone quote tweeted it and went viral. This is just a random account. They're like, man, this angle makes every quarterback look elite. And it's like, that's because these guys are really, really good. Even the guys we make fun of and say they can't do this, it's like just pick the 20th quarterback. The bottom half of the quarterback play is way better than when I was growing up. It came not even close to better. It's not even close. I watched so many Joey Harrington games, Kate McCown, like just talking about NFC Central games. Trent Dilfer won a freaking Super Bowl. Like, what are we doing here? Like, I've seen Elvis Grbac play. I've seen all these guys, like, just throughout the years play quarterback. And
Kurt Warner, who I love, the Kurt Warner's tape from the early 2000s is incredible. But he won MVP with 22 picks, bro. It just would never happen today.
It's different.
He won the MVP with 22 picks. Like, come on.
And that's the combo too about the pure progression stuff is that's just been so obnoxious to me. There's more than one way to skin a cat. Two is that, and that's what kind of blows my mind. Some of these guys that have been around the league are going like, well, this is how I did. It's like, yeah, you can do it in a lot of ways, guys. And that's the other thing too, is like, they have to do that because defenses pass rushers are better. There's more pass rushers. Defenses are faster because they're lighter and just more athletic. Like linebackers today, watch old Mike Vick highlights and him running around and making like Greg Beekert run into a guy. All the linebackers had neck rolls. They all looked like Brian Cox. And then meanwhile, watch the Bills linebackers. They were all 220, 225. Everybody's in dime. Everybody can blitz. Everybody like, it's just it's so frustrating for me. And I get this is how it always goes. It was always better back in the day. It was always better. No, like the quarterback play is very, very good right now. They can do all the ad lib stuff. This is kind of my one liner on it. The quarterbacks today, their intelligence is greatly underrated and their polish is greatly underrated. The athleticism of the quarterbacks of yesteryear is greatly underrated. What Elway used to do and Steve Young and all those guys, Rich Gannon, like you name guys like in like
Greasy,
all of them
man, or Brian Greasy.
None of those guys were Drew Bledsoe.
Yeah.
It's sorry. I just had to have a quick rant before we wrapped up because I think that's really obnoxious and just saying like, and it just reminds me of how NBA chat has been for the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years, where everybody's like, oh, everybody sucks now. Everybody's bad. Everybody, all this, everything's bad. Everything's bad. Everything's bad. It's like, no. This is really good stuff these quarterbacks are doing. So sorry, had to get that on my soapbox. I liked watching Philip Rivers too. But the quarterbacks today are doing some amazing things in structure and before the snap. All that stuff we say that quarterbacks don't do, I could list off a dozen plus guys that are doing it every single snap. So, even a guy like Jordan Love, who people would think is just a big, dumb, big-armed idiot, is doing so much pre-snap stuff that 20 years ago, 90% of the quarterbacks weren't even doing because the offenses were that complex as they are now. Protections weren't as complex as they are now, all that stuff. So anyways, we're closing it out today. Thanks for letting me get that off my chest on a XXL sized episode of Football 301, 301 minutes with me and Charles. We'll be back on Sunday live after the late afternoon games wrap up before Sunday Night Football. So come hang out. Check us out on the YouTube channel, Yahoo Sports YouTube channel. We'll be recapping Week 16. Got some Saturday games this week, too. I'm Nate Tice. You can find me at Nate_Tice. That's Charles McDonald. You can find him at 4Verts on social media. Subscribe to us, follow us, rate us wherever you get your podcasts. Pretty please. Leave some comments in there. I love seeing those. Watch us on YouTube on that Yahoo Sports YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe there as well. Thanks to Stone, Austin, and Madison behind the scenes for making us look and sound good. Thank you all for listening. Have a great weekend full of football, college football playoff, NFL every day. It's going to be awesome. See you guys Sunday night.